war.
Hello and welcome to Time Tunnel, where we find out what was making news in the past. I'm Daljit Dhaliwal in New York. Today we travel back to this day in 1976. ABC's Bill Beutel brought us the headlines.
From New York, this is the ABC Weekend News. Here now, Bill Beutel.
Good evening. A Turkish Airlines 727 jet hit a mountainside in western Turkey tonight, crashed, then burst into flames. There were 154 people aboard the Turkish flight from Istanbul to Antalya, and the first reports are that no one survived. In Pretoria, the capital of South Africa, at Prime Minister Vorster's home, Secretary of State Henry Kissinger met for almost 8 hours today with Ian Smith, the Prime Minister of Rhodesia. Kissinger is trying to persuade Smith and the Rhodesians to accept the idea of black majority rule, this by way of preventing a war between black and white in southern Africa. The Americans say the two meetings today produced some progress. A report from ABC's Barry Dunsmore.
Kissinger had said for 2 weeks that he would not meet Smith unless he thought a major breakthrough on Rhodesia was imminent. Privately, he had said that this meant Smith acceptance in advance of the concept of majority rule within 2 years. But as Smith arrived for the meeting this morning, the only thing that was certain was that Kissinger did not want to be filmed or photographed with him. At the end of the morning session, Smith had nothing to say. He had been told the British-American view of Rhodesia's future and what black African leaders wanted. Kissinger said they would meet later in the day. After another 4 hours of meetings, Kissinger's statement did not totally answer those questions, but it seemed a deal had been reached. Did that mean a breakthrough, he was asked?
I'm satisfied that Mr. Smith and his 3 close collaborators will report favorably to their other colleagues. After consultation with their colleagues, they will have to present these propositions to their party caucus. While the Rhodesian institutional processes are taking place, I will seek certain clarifications from the presidents of Black Africa, particularly President Kaunda and President Nyerere.
The proposals Kissinger said Smith would report on favorably should include majority rule within 2 years. But Smith has waffled before, and also until details are known and Kissinger revisits black leaders, a breakthrough cannot be declared. Barry Dunsmore, ABC News, Pretoria.
Elias Sarkis, who assumes the presidency of Lebanon on Thursday, met today with Palestinian leader Yasser Arafat and with Syrian officials, but their attempts to arrange a new truce ended without success. In a farewell speech today, the outgoing president, Suleiman Frangieh, said the Palestinians are trying to take over Lebanon, and he urged the Arab states to work out what he called a comprehensive plan to deal with the Palestinian problem to prevent the outbreak of another war of the sort that has crippled Lebanon over the past year and a half. The Swedish Prime Minister Olof Palme conceded defeat tonight in Sweden's general elections. Under the Social Democrats, who have ruled Sweden for 44 years, the country has moved toward a highly centralized socialist state. The non-socialist parties that won tonight have pledged to reverse that trend, which they say has stifled individual initiative in Sweden. TWA's domestic flights were back in the air today. An urgent meeting called late last night by the Labor Secretary, Ussery, ended the machinist strike little more than 24 hours after it began. The terms of the new contract have not been announced, but TWA says its domestic service will be back to normal by tomorrow, its international service by Tuesday. In an interview published today, President Ford says he wants to cut taxes for families earning between $8,000 and $30,000 a year. Jimmy Carter drew some fire yesterday with his statement that he would shift the tax burden by reducing taxes for those below the median income and raising taxes for those above. Well, the Republicans wasted no time at all in pointing out that that would mean higher taxes for every family making more than $14,000. Carter had more to say on the tricky issue of tax reform as he campaigned today in Missouri. And ABC's Bill Werdum reports.
Jimmy Carter took to the air in his rented jet Sunday, cutting short his church-going ritual because uppermost in his mind were matters more fiscal than spiritual. Carter went to Kansas City, Missouri, to make a statement on income tax reform, and along the way, he dropped the conservative mantle he's been wearing of late and assumed the role of Robin Hood. After some dramatics in which he flourished the 4 volumes of the income tax code, Carter vowed he would overhaul, simplify, and rebalance the system, take from the rich and give to the poor.
The Democratic Party and the great leaders of the Democratic Party and I, as the nominee of our party, would never increase taxes on the working people of our country in the low and middle income groups. But we will shift the burden of taxes, for the Republicans have always protected onto the rich, the big corporations, and the special interest groups, and you can depend on that if I'm elected, and I hope you'll help me so we can change it.
But what is the middle income group in Carter's mind? Neither he nor his aides would say, a fuzziness which Republicans have been gloating over during the weekend. On his way to a Truman Day dinner in St. Louis, Carter said the Republicans were distorting his proposals. He was then asked if, for instance, a person making $15,000 a year had anything to fear from his reform.
A lot of abortion people over $15,000 a year to worry that they are going to have more tax burdens placed on them? No.
And that, for now, is as specific as Carter is going to be on the issue. A Carter aide explained that the income tax structure would be analyzed and changed only if Carter were elected. To define what he means now by middle income, the aide said, would only be putting the cart before the horse. Bill Werdum, ABC News, with the Carter campaign in Missouri.
The Republicans didn't let the issue die, and the vice presidential candidate Robert Dole jumped on Carter's median income statement today as he campaigned in Ohio and Florida. We have a report. ABC's Tom Schell.
A statement made by Jimmy Carter on tax reform is providing the target for Senator Dole's current campaign swing. At a Republican picnic in northeastern Ohio, Dole scoffed at a Carter suggestion that most Americans don't want their taxes cut, they just want equal treatment.
Anybody here who doesn't want to see their taxes lowered? If they are, I'd like to see you afterwards. We'll try to get some treatment to you right away.
The Dole campaign then moved from Ohio to Florida, 1,000 miles to the south, and the attack on the Carter tax proposal continued.
The man said he'd raise the taxes of people whose family incomes were above the median income and lower them for people below that level. And so far, so good. Until you find out what the median income is for family. This would be a working man and a working woman. The median income in the United States is between $14,000 and $15,000. Now, I'm not accustomed to thinking of families with incomes of $14,000 or $15,000 as higher income if the wife's working as well as the husband.
After Dole was told that Carter said nobody making $15,000 a year or less should worry about a tax increase, Dole told reporters if Carter doesn't know what the median income is, he should get out of the race. Tom Schell, ABC News, with the Dole campaign in Florida.
Each political party wants to take New York State, of course, with its 41 electoral votes. And Walter Mondale, the Democratic vice presidential candidate, came to New York today to try to make sure the Democrats take it. Mondale came to the ethnic neighborhoods of New York City and attacked President Ford's economic policies. ABC's Jim Walker reports.
It was the kind of day politicians dream about. Blue skies above, thousands of voters below, and no opposition in sight. With that happy mix, Walter Mondale brought his vice presidential campaign back to New York, this time to mosey through a little bit of downtown Brooklyn. Beside him sat New York Democratic Senate candidate Patrick Moynihan, who hopes the Carter-Mondale party unity pitch will help unite New York's divided Democrats. In a short speech, Mondale hailed his host, a local urban renewal group, repeated campaign promises such as more jobs, and again let loose against the Ford administration.
They've given us the highest unemployment outside of the Great Depression. They've given us the highest inflation in modern economic times. They've given us the largest deficits in American history, and now they say, please give us 4 more years. I say we've had enough.
This is the third visit to New York City for Mondale since his nomination, indicating the importance this state has for the Democrats in the upcoming election. There were no great surprises today, but that was not the purpose. This was a traditional Mondale day on the stump. And in a tribute to political planning, in just 5 hours, Mondale was able to see and be seen by Greeks, Arabs, Jews, Italians, and Chinese. Jim Walker, ABC News, with the Mondale campaign, New York.
As the television networks debate whether to carry the presidential debates, we have an interesting insight into the candidates' negotiations. Time magazine reports that the Carter people wanted a sit-down debate because their man is 3 inches shorter than the president is, and because they felt he'd be calmer sitting down. They didn't get that, but the Carter people did get short lecterns so that Carter can show off his body language, which they think is better than the president's. And I guess in a TV debate, body language can be important. So the news this Sunday. I'm Bill Butel, ABC News, New York. Thank you and good luck.
This has been the ABC Weekend News with Bill Butel. Watch ABC News with Harry Reasoner, Monday through Friday.
And that's all the time tunnel that we have for you today. So let's get you back to the present with ABC News Now.
And what you can do for your country.
Mr. Gorbachev, tear down.